Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this program is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and it's coming to you from scenic downtown Woodstock, New York, on Channel 23, and also on YouTube. And we've got a really special show tonight because we're starting off a series of shows that focus on the Mowers Saturday Sunday Flea Market, which has been going on in Woodstock for 47 years. And I hope to have a different person each week, a different booth. And in addition, I would like for everybody to know that we are going to, as we go along, remind everyone that we will close at the end of October this year. So if you're thinking about doing your Christmas shopping, you have to get over there now. And we've always done our Christmas shopping at the Mauer Meadow Flea Market. So this year we're going to do it a little early. And we have a wonderful guest because Gary does a lot of fun things. And you not only do them for us, but you do them for the Historical Society, don't you?
I do them for the Historical Society, I do them for the flea market. I did the large peace sign last year that we all signed for John and Janine that we gifted to them. I do for family and friends. I sell some of the stuff online. All different ways, any way possible.
You network.
Yeah,
and
well, kind of.
Well, and of course, these things are adorable. They really are. The one that I fell in love with was the one that seemed to have bubbles.
Oh, yeah.
I really thought that was lovely.
Yeah, that one I sold last year at the market. That one sold. But, I like doing the big ones. They don't sell as quickly as the smaller ones, but they're fun to do because you have more of a wider palette to do the stuff on those.
Well, now, do you have a large one here, and then you have...
And then I do the guitars, which just cut the shape of a guitar out of the center of the wood and leave the two cross pieces of the peace sign and do designs on those.
That's lovely. And so these are on sale at the flea market.
Are on sale, yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, and you will have peace signs available through October. So these would make a really nice Christmas gift as well. Mm-hmm. And look at that one.
And some I put the word Woodstock on because some of the people coming in, they want to have something to take home from Woodstock, so they actually say, oh, do you have anything that says Woodstock on it? So some I do without, some I do with the word Woodstock, and try to please everybody and give them all.
And this one's got butterflies, which I think is lovely. So
yeah, the other one has a butterfly also. The guitar.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, right there towards the bottom.
Do you do a lot with butterflies? Is
yeah,
that
they
something?
seem popular. They seem to be popular.
You add butterflies?
Not to everything, but quite a few. I'll stick a butterfly here or there.
Oh, that's delightful. And then you have brought some new things here. What are they?
Well, since you mentioned the Christmas season, I do the nutcrackers also, which I have this size. I do have a couple. I only think I'll have one larger one, which I think they're about 14 inches tall, the big ones. But these are $20 at the market, which I think is reasonable. They are actual functioning nutcrackers with the mouth that moves. I do all the artwork on them.
Wow.
Kind of turn them into little hippie nutcrackers where else you gonna go but Woodstock to get a hippie nutcracker.
Well, and then aren't mushrooms becoming a big thing now in Woodstock?
Actually, I'm seeing them all over the place. You go in the craft stores, you see mushrooms. You go in regular stores and you see mushrooms. I think it might be getting a little too saturated with mushrooms, but I don't know. I've been doing mushrooms probably 3 years now, and sometimes I think people come through the flea market, or the corporations send people through flea markets just to see, oh, what's hot now, what's selling at the markets, because then it seems like all of a sudden you see the stuff popping up all over the place.
Well, these are darling. These are going to make adorable tree ornaments.
And these, I don't do all of them this way, but these particular ones I brought tonight will actually glow under a black light. So if you have a black light and you put them under a black light, they will fluoresce, those particular ones.
And this one is so cute.
Yeah, that one will fluoresce under a black light also.
And then these are little plant holders.
Yeah, like I was telling you a minute ago before we went on air, these I found in a little thrift shop down by me. And they came undecorated. I did all the artwork on them. And I seen a flower pot, and I seen a head, and I said to myself, they're pothead planters. What the perfect thing for Woodstock.
They are. They are very cute.
And I even put a little sign out that says pothead planters. I think that is part of the selling point when people look at the sign and say, oh yeah, pothead planter.
And this also, you were talking about, there is a woman that sells the air plants, and they can go right in there. And there are other people that sell other small plants as well at the flea market. So you have a number of these.
Yeah.
They're darling.
But yeah, because sometimes people come in, because I do these and I do the little ones that I, in the macrame flower pot macrame holders that I put the flower pots in. Those I hand tie-dye, and people come in and say, what can I put in those also? And those I send down to Donna also for the air plants. So you can stick a little air plant or something in it, whatever.
That's lovely. How long have you been doing this?
2013 I started at Mowers, and it was the year before that I started painting after which we've talked about on other previous shows, how I started doing that after my father passed away.
So this is 11 years. Almost 12 years.
2013, yeah. But I've, like we've talked about too, I've done flea markets, other flea markets, all the way back since I was a teenager.
But if you did flea markets as a teenager and you did not paint, what kind of merchandise did you have?
Antiques. I was doing depression glass, which is glass that was made in the 1930s. I was buying and selling depression glass.
Are you still doing that?
I still have a lot in the basement, but the younger kids don't want it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Younger kids don't want any antiques. It's hard to find a younger person that is interested in anything vintage or old. Like, to them, vintage is like 1980.
Really?
1930 or 1940 or even earlier.
So now you have a basement full of
Depression glass.
depression
and,
glass.
And I put it on eBay, and a piece sells here and there, but not like it used to. It used to sell. And you used to be able to find it all over the place too, because in the 30s, every household had it. It was in the Depression. It was glassware that was produced in the Depression. So I've kind of morphed from that into doing this now at the markets, and who knows, maybe the antique stuff will come back. Maybe the young kids will start getting an interest in it again. You never know. Things do go in cycles.
Do you have any depression glass at the flea market at all?
When I first started changing over, doing the art, because when I first started doing stuff in 2013 at John's Market, that's what I was bringing up, all antiques and collectibles and depression glass. And then I started bringing in some of this stuff, and for about a year, it was half this, half the antiques, and eventually, because this stuff was selling better, it became all this type stuff. So now I don't have any of the antiques or the depression glass anymore at the market.
So you're not even buying depression glass anymore?
If I buy a piece that I know is just so reasonable that I can't pass it by, I'll buy it, but not really.
How? So it has come and gone?
Pretty much. Like I say, I sell a piece here or there once in a while on eBay and some of the other sites, but I don't know. And some of it's really nice. I mean, some of it's etched, some of it's carved, all different colors. I mean, it's really nice stuff, but the kids just haven't caught on to it.
It's just not, it's much more fun to have this.
Yeah, it was out of necessity more so than fun. You know, because you got to make money somehow. It's like,
well, also, if you have the depression glass and you have it in your basement and you have it on eBay and you sell a piece and you sell another piece here or there or whatever, it may come back. That's the thing.
Well, that's what I said. Sometimes things do go in cycles, and the younger people, they are buying the green, because the green, like I said, these will fluoresce under a black light. Some of the green depression glass actually will fluoresce under a black light also.
Oh, really?
And they're
really?
actually, they're not even calling it depression glass now, they're calling it uranium glass because it does fluoresce. So that's their only interest in it, because it fluoresces, not because it was made in the 30s or just because it looks cool when you hit it with a black light.
So if a person buys depression glass and it's green and it fluoresces,
Mm-hmm.
is it more expensive?
It's not more expensive, but it's more sellable right now at the present time because the younger kids are interested in it. Whether they'll be interested in it in 6 months to a year from now, because their taste kind of ebbs and flows really quickly, changes really quickly, I think. The younger people with their cell phones, how quickly they're into
How
the next.
did you discover that it fluoresced?
I've seen people listing it on eBay and saying, it'll fluoresce under black
So
light.
somebody
That's
else
never shown
already
it.
did,
Yeah.
and you checked yours out and it does fluoresce.
Not all green, but a majority of it will.
Oh, that's cute. And then you have all those hooks, those metal hooks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they're a popular seller because I look for ones that are different than you can go in like a hardware store and buy, because everything's so generic in most of the hardware stores now. So I look for, more figural ones, different ones, and they're still selling. But that's the thing, you never know nowadays what's going to be hot one minute, what's not going to be hot the next minute.
What do you think is the trend now? Is the trend toward less expensive or more expensive
And as far as
in the flea
stuff
market?
just stuff that's for me, it's less expensive. I haven't sold a single one of the big peace signs this year. I've sold a couple of the big smiley faces. You've seen the smiley faces.
Oh, they are darling.
Yeah, I've sold a couple of those, and they're a little bit pricier. But for me, it's the lower price stuff. And I've even reduced some of my prices because my price point, they just weren't buying it at my price point this year on some of the stuff. So,
Well, I noticed there just isn't any money. There's Venmo. I mean, there is things that you can negotiate with, but it's just not money.
do you do that? Do you do
No,
Venmo?
I do
either.
not.
I do cash only, and I know I lose sales, but I send them over to some of the ATMs. I said, there's an ATM across the street, or there's an ATM down the street the other way. And sometimes they'll go, sometimes they won't. But I think I lost a big sale over the weekend because there was a young woman that had picked out 4 of my peace signs, and one this size, and I think a couple of the guitars, and one other smaller $20 one. And she wanted to know if I could do any better on the 4 of them, and we didn't even get to negotiate a price because she said, you do take credit or you do take Venmo, don't you? As soon as I said no, and she put them down.
Yeah, that was the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder about the significance of that. I wonder if we really have lost money. I do know that when things happen in political, legal, financial, when anything's happen, it always affects it all, and you know it immediately in the flea market. And I know that when I was working in the food pantry, it was in 2008 that you couldn't buy anything in the food pantry in the flea market that cost more than $2.
Yeah.
And there were booths, there were people who adjusted and who did quite well. They dug in their basements and they found out what they could do with $2. And of course now you have to find out what can you do with Venmo. I just don't. And there's a woman in my booth now who does Reiki, and she does Venmo. But every time she does Venmo, it's like, is this going to work? Is this going to, she's not comfortable with it. And
there's some vendors, they not only do Venmo, they do PayPal, they do credit cards, they do the whole gamut of whatever payment that you can
whatever there is.
You can do. Which
yeah.
I'm sure they pick up sales doing it that way, but I don't know. I've been doing it too long. I'm an old school guy, and it's just, you want to buy from me, just throw $20 in your pocket and come out to the market. I had one woman a few weeks ago. I think it was like the third or fourth week that we had opened. It was two women with a bunch of kids, and they were running all through the booth, and they were picking up the metal, and they were dropping the metal, and it was very nerve-wracking, to say the least. And then they wanted to buy $5 items and wanted to put it on charge. And first of all, you have to pay a fee to put it on a charge. So when you pay a fee on a $5 thing, and then she says, well, could one of your neighbors maybe run the charge for you? And it's not even something I would ask one of my neighbors to do, especially on a $5 item.
Right.
So they came back, and they found $5 somewhere and paid me. But then the other little boy bought something, and then one of the things that I just charged for $5 for, she wanted to know if I would sell another one to her little boy because he only had $1. Would I sell one for $1? And I mean,
no,
it's aggravating. But overall, most of the people are pretty good. But I think the foot traffic is down this year too. You notice the foot traffic, for whatever reason, is down. I don't think there's as many people coming through the market. I don't know if you think so or not, but
I don't know. Because I do tarot, and once it starts, you just sit there and read cards. That's all I do. So I don't notice who comes or doesn't come. And I also, because the woman that does the Reiki in my booth, she is the same thing. Once she gets a person, she's back there in the back doing Reiki,
on that.
and that's it. But I do know that the economy has changed significantly. We used to have money, and we do not have money anymore. So we've moved into a new kind of economy, and I'm not sure that anybody has defined it yet.
Yeah.
Because it's still in flux, which is a really fascinating thing, because as a flea market, we are right on the edge. We are on the cutting edge. I think we are before the grocery stores. We're just before a lot of other things, because a flea market is a unique it is a unique way to shop.
But it's not a necessity either. It's not like putting gas in your gas tank or paying your rent or buying your groceries either. Those things all come first.
That's true. But then by the other token, and I have thought about this, in Woodstock, there are a lot of things that we can't get. If it's Sunday afternoon and you think that you need a set of sheets, where are you going to go? So there is a woman, I think, that sells them there. So she sells the sheets. And there used to be a woman that sold socks, but she doesn't sell them anymore. It's really hard. There are these basic things that we work with. But at the same time, the flea market is very romantic because there are all kinds of people going through there. There's some famous people, there are some not so famous people, and there are some famous people that they don't want anybody to know they're there, which is too cute.
And there's some famous people that set up that people don't even know that they're famous, and they're selling their items and have no idea who they're buying their items from.
Right.
Which we won't mention who they are, but because they probably don't want to be called out, but there's a few famous ones that are out on the field.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that makes the flea market so special in Woodstock.
Well, a few weeks ago, I won't mention who the woman is. She lives in town and she's a musician. And she's actually related to one of the flea market vendors. And there was a man and woman in my booth, and they had their young teenage daughter, maybe somewhere between maybe 17 and 20 years old. I don't know exactly how old the girl was. But the man and the woman were in my booth and looking at stuff, and the young girl goes down to the end of my booth, and I see her down there talking to this person. And she comes back, and what the whole crux of the story is, she recognized who the famous person was. And And she went down to meet her, so she came back, and the parents said to her, the mother said to her, "Oh, did you meet her?" She said, "Yeah." And she said, and she's really nice too. So I guess the person that I'm talking about actually stood and talked to her for a while, and I don't know whether she asked for an autograph or whatever, but that's the thing. They come through, they walk through, and they come in and do their thing just like us regular people, if you want to call us regular.
Which is a really fun thing to do. And of course, a lot of the people that visit from out of the community that they drive up to Woodstock or whatever, they don't really know, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have famous musicians, we have famous writers that
actors,
have actors, whatever. But we've got that famous tradesman who has the Buddhist merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
He's very well known, And that woman that sells the plants, the air plants, my God, she's known all over the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, when you come into Woodstock, it's just a kind of a surprise what you're going to find, because not everybody's there every week.
Well, I was a couple of weeks ago, the photographs that I saw and talk about Woodstock and stuff, there was a young guy and girl came in the booth, and they were talking about the Woodstock Festival, and they told me, and I can actually mention their names because they don't live in Woodstock, but they said that they're in a band, and I asked the name of the band, and the band's name is Gorilla Toss, which I didn't know, but I looked them up after the fact, and they said they were going to play Bethel Woods on the anniversary of Woodstock. They got invited to play the anniversary concert, and they're opening for the band Fish, which Fish is I don't know if you've ever heard of the band.
Oh, I definitely have.
So they're opening for Fish, but they're playing in the afternoon at the Bethel Woods. Fish is playing at night, and they're big fans of Fish, and they didn't even see it as opening for them. I said, "Oh, so you're opening for Fish?" She says, "Yeah, I guess we are." But I looked them up online afterwards, and they tour all over the United States. I believe her name's Casey Carlson. She lives over in Solomon County. I won't say where, but it was her and I forget what the drummer's name was, but it was the two of them that just came through and was just looking at stuff and got talking about Woodstock. So even if they don't live in Woodstock, the famous people and musicians or whatever just come through.
They all show up.
But
yeah.
So we'll give a shout out to Gorilla Toss. Go see them at Bethel Woods. The Woodstock anniversary weekend, which is coming up in a couple weeks. 55th year.
Wow.
55th anniversary.
Well, now, that's the 55th year, and then the flea market is on its 47th? Or 48th? 47th. Oh, man. Oh, and Woodstock, through the Historical Society, has such stories. I don't know what is that?
What? I don't know.
The smoke.
I don't know. Why is that smoking, Ellen?
Oh, I'm afraid that's an insect.
Oh, okay. So we're okay. Just a little bit of a distraction there.
Maybe I'll turn it off for a bit.
But there's a famous woman musician who comes to the flea market every weekend, and with her little boy.
That's the person I was talking about a few minutes ago, that the young girl went and got her autograph.
And she's so cute. And a lot of people have no idea, So, hey, that's part of being there. Although when I started working at the flea market, when I started a booth, I had no idea that was what was going to happen. I had no preconceived notions. All I knew was that it was time for me to get a booth, and it was time to start raising money, and that was, I just didn't know. So it's not just your run-of-the-mill flea market. And I'm sure that there are other flea markets in the neighborhood that may not have that notoriety. I don't know what you think about that.
The most famous one in this area is probably Stormville, which is over on the other side of the river. That's been running since the early 70s. And that started out as antiques. I used to go to that market too. I used to buy there. But that's changed too over the years. But that was at the Stormville Airport. They used to get like 2,000 vendors. But it wasn't a weekly. It was like every holiday weekend. It still runs every holiday. But it was a totally different concept than what the Woodstock flea market is.
What does that mean?
Well, just in the variety, the type of merchandise and the people that, like I say, it was just on the scale. It was a lot bigger. Think of 2,000 vendors compared to 50 or 60 that John has, and think of how much space that's spread out.
Listen, 50 vendors is enough. 40 vendors is enough. I mean, that's a hike. And we show up on Saturday morning and put out our things, and then we have to pack up, and then the next morning we're back. And there are some people there that are clothing designers as well. So we not only have the art and the antiques, we have the clothing as well.
We have Sarah that does her own bags, all the leather bags.
Yes. Yes. And then we've got other things also. We've got jewelry. We have people who make their own jewelry. We have back in the corner, we've got the fur coats in the fall.
Yep, Barbara and Laszlo with his boots and his hats.
Yes. These are people who've been around for years and years. They have their reputations. They know their clients, and they do what they do, and they're happy to do it. And I think that's one of the things that makes the flea market wonderful. And your things are so unique. When you talk about people having a booth, and no one has these, do they? No.
So far.
No one has these. And no one has the mushrooms. And I think, don't you have some Christmas ornaments as well?
Yeah, the glass ones. And some of those, which we've talked about in the past, are over in the Historical Society also. And 40% of the sales of those go to the Historical Society if you buy them at the Historical Society. So, people need to get over there and check stuff out there. I think there's three or four vendors that have stuff in the Historical Society. Suzanne has stuff in there, I do. And I think one or two other ones, I don't know exactly who, but there's about four just in the little entryway, As they don't have a lot of room in the Historical Society to offer stuff for sale, but they do what they can.
I've never been over there. I started writing my book about Woodstock, but I have not been there to see it. The only time I ever went, it was closed. So that I had it wrong. And I just haven't gone back,
Well, they do the Christmas, talking about Christmas and getting ready, thinking about buying for Christmas already. They do the Christmas bazaar there also, or the Christmas fair, which raises money for the Historical Society. And I set up a table there, Suzanne. There's a number of different vendors that set up tables for that too, and that runs one weekend. And then in November, the Firehouse has their Christmas fair also that raises money to help poor families that can't afford Thanksgiving meal or gifts at Christmas time. They help some of the poorer people in the community with the money they raise for that. And they already sent out the contracts for that, so that's in November.
I have never been able to get myself in any other flea market. None. I can't. Every time I try, I'm either too late, or I'm too early, or I send it to the wrong place, or
they say there's somebody already doing tarot cards.
And nobody's ever said that to me.
Well,
what they've all said to me is, well, we don't have any space. You're too late. Or we're not ready yet. Call us back in 2 months or something. And by then I'm on another tangent. Yeah. So I haven't. And I have thought about, where do the people in the flea market, where do they go in the winter?
A lot of them do the little craft fairs and craft shows and stuff. I don't do too many of those. Some of them are pretty pricey to set up at, for one thing. And you got to drag your stuff inside, drag it out. I mean, the firehouse you have to drag it in, but I've done well there. So, but there's really, other than that, come the end of December until maybe April, nothing really is doing. So I think a lot of people do what I do. They stay home, they work on stuff for the spring, or they do whatever they do online.
Well, we have one vendor who paints rocks, and I think she paints rocks all winter long.
Oh, Julia, that does the...
Yeah, I really do. I think she's hot at work the whole time and doesn't even realize that it's not there.
Yeah.
She's just doing it, and her rocks are so incredible.
I told her, I said, that's got to be very meditative, just the way she gets the circles and just perfectly in line the way they're supposed to be. But I think probably when you do them, if you do 100 rocks, probably by the 101st rock, you can probably do it pretty well.
Well, but the thing is that none of those rocks are the same.
No.
They're all different. So the math is different on each one of those rocks. Oh my gosh. And so this is really the heart of the matter of the flea market. Because each person who has a booth at the flea market, we each have something different,
Well, I've been starting to incorporate, because like I say, my sales are down a little bit this year, and I've been starting to incorporate a few of my paintings in. So can I show the big one first?
Yes.
So I've been painting. I've mentioned on other shows how I paint with the Wallkill River Center for the Arts down by me. On Tuesdays and other days during the week now, during the summer, they do children's art programs. So us old guys, we have to go someplace else when the kids are doing their thing. So my friend Beverly Cooper has an inn up by Gardner. It's called the Inn at the Ridge. You can Google it online, and I think it's the innattheridge.com actually. Yeah, innattheridge.com is her website. It's a B&B. It's a wedding venue. They hold weddings there. And it's right at the base of the Swangunk Ridge. You can actually see the Swangunk Ridge from her backyard. I think it's 5 acres. She has a lily pond on her property. Really nice setting. She has an art studio where we can paint indoors or we can paint plein air outdoors. And about 3 weeks ago, I did this one. I actually have this painting for sale at the flea market. And this one I did one afternoon, just painting with some of the other artists over to...
How many people go and do this?
The week that I did this one, I think there was 18 artists there.
That's a lot.
That one. Last week, I think we had 13. It rained on Tuesday, then, but 13 showed up. The week prior to that, I think 16. So between 13 and 18 have been showing up there. Well, like I say, some people will paint indoors. Some will go outside and paint plein air outdoors. She has different barns and different outbuildings. The pond, so they can take a chair, sit anywhere, and do their thing, whatever they want to paint. But yeah, that's my friend Beverly Cooper and her husband Sal.
It's Tuesday afternoons.
Tuesday afternoons we go there, but
is it all year round?
Well, normally, like I said, we do the Wallkill River School in Montgomery on Tuesdays.
Well, now,
River
what
Center
is
for
the
Arts.
Wallkill River School? Tell me about that.
Wallkill River Center for the Arts.
That has such an intriguing name.
It's a art school that they're actually incorporating more mixed media, more different types of art, but that's been running almost 20 years now, I think. And it's one of the biggest art schools down in Orange County. And some of the artists that actually teach there, some of them are world renowned and world known. Some of them paint in Europe, some of them, but they do watercolor, they do acrylic, they do oil, and they do classes. And like I said, now they're doing stuff for the kids through the summer, children's art camps and different programs for the kids. But the cookbook that you bought from me the one time I was on, that money went to the Wallkill River School, Wallkill River Center for the Arts down there. But yeah, they're online too, Wallkill River Center for the Arts. If you just type that into Google, it'll bring it up and see what they're all about. But yeah, so I'm getting back into doing more painting. This one here I've done two versions. I did one for my cousin Barbara because she wanted a gypsy caravan. And then my cousin Penny, who lives down south, she's seen the first one I did, so she says, "Could you do one for me too?" So this is for her, but she hasn't seen this one yet. This one probably next week I'll mail that one down to her. I think this one came out good. The other one came out equally as nice, but
Did you see an actual?
I found an image similar to this online, and the wagon is kind of based off that. The girl and the little fox are different, but yeah, this one, the idea was in my head, but I couldn't visually,
Right.
without seeing an actual gypsy wagon. But what I was thinking with this, that might be interesting to do, and I think would sell in Woodstock, rather than doing a gypsy wagon, doing like a 1960s hippie school bus with all different tie-dye colors, with the back doors open and having a woman sitting on the back, and rather than having a little bouquet of flowers, maybe holding a guitar in her hand,
Right.
and doing something like that maybe for her.
Yes.
I think that would go over well in Woodstock.
Oh yeah.
But,
Well, you know, I saw a gypsy wagon in Palinville. Somebody, one of the golf courses has one sitting out front, and it was very attractive. You know, it was empty; it didn't have anything, and so you put a lot in it. Yeah.
But one of my artist friends called me out for calling it a gypsy wagon because I guess it's politically incorrect to call people gypsies now too. So
Oh, what is it?
I don't know. I guess it's the word gypsy. She said that the correct name should be Romies because I guess they started in Romania and they traveled around. So she said the correct term should be Romies. They don't go by gypsies anymore.
Very interesting.
And that's why this year, when they were saying about the spongy caterpillars,
Yeah.
they're gypsy moths. They just changed the name because it's not politically correct to call the gypsy moths anymore, which, I don't know. I don't buy into the whole thing, the political correctness. The gypsy moth is always a gypsy moth, and I'm sure the gypsy moths aren't being offended.
You know, I've been writing for this last few months, I've been writing a book about the tarot. And I wrote about the major arcana, and now I'm writing on the minor arcana. And there is a famous woman who comes from a gypsy lineage, and she has written a book about how in her culture, how they use the tarot. And it was most interesting. You know, tarot is everywhere, and she did use gypsy. But now I'm going to go back and read her book again and see what she used. But she did use the word gypsy.
Well, supposedly the political correctness thing comes from the word gypsy, which the beginning of it, gyp. People were taking that they go around and they gyp people and then they travel on, and so I don't know.
And then we use the word Romy, and I remember that word because she talked about her family came from a Roman lineage, and where gypsies came from. So we got to get this right.
Well, one of the flea market vendors actually I was talking to that one week when John didn't get there too early to open up when we had rain or whatever. And he told me he is a gypsy, and he says he's not offended by the word gypsy. He says it's all the political correct people that want you to change. And he says, and they're not even gypsies. He says he's a gypsy and he has no problem with being called that.
My gosh.
And he's the one who told me, that it was the whole gyp in the beginning of the word gypsy that offended people because of the
Does he
connotation.
read cards?
No.
He does not
No.
read cards.
No, I'll tell you who it is after the show. I don't want to mention who it is. You know who it is. So you will know.
Oh,
who it is.
really?
Yeah. It's one of the regular vendors.
Well, we have vendors who come from all walks of life, which makes it and everyone seems to be welcoming to everyone, which I think is really nice. It helps, that it makes the flea market a very positive place to go. And it's one of my favorite places in Woodstock. I love to go and sit down and set up a booth, put a tent out, put my table out, and drink tea and read cards all day long.
And soak up the atmosphere.
Absolutely. And I meet my friends, and I see people that I know, and I see people that, and we enjoy visiting with each other, and it's a lovely place to be. And it would not be a lovely place to be if people were not coexisting as well as they do. Because I don't pick up any negativity or any anger or anything. I mean, it's just a really nice place to be. And I can remember that John Maurer came to me one day and said something, well, did you enjoy it? And I told him, I said, listen, John, I've got a chair and I've got a table and a deck of cards, and I'm visiting with my friends, and I'm reading tarot, and I'm very happy.
And meeting new people that come
Yes,
through.
yes. Yeah. And enjoy meeting people. And sometimes I do meet people, and once in a while I'll run across somebody who will know me and I won't recognize them. Or I will know somebody and I will realize who they are hours later, and it's all right.
There's one lady that comes through and says hello to me by name, and it's like we're old lost relatives or something, and she's, oh, hi, how you doing? I haven't seen you since so long, Gary, and how's things going? I don't know the woman's name, but this has been going on for like 3 years, but I'm sure she probably bought something from me at one time, and we got talking or chatting, and she always stops back, but I hope the occasion doesn't come up where I'm actually going to have to address her by name because I don't know what her name is.
Oh, Gary, I haven't remembered anybody's name in years. My poor brain is so stuffed with names. It's like I don't even try anymore. People tell me their names and it just goes. That's something I gave up when I turned 80. I gave up a feeling that I was obligated to know people's names, or that they are obligated to know my name. You know?
It usually takes me at least two introductions, or probably 3. But I used to be really good with names, but anymore. And sometimes the name will be right here on the tip of my tongue, and it's like, and as soon as I walk away, then the name comes out. And it's
Oh,
like,
no, I was really good with names until I was in my 50s. And after that, it was just too much. You know, life was too much.
Well, it could be we meet so many people through our life too that
Yes.
the brain can only hold so much information.
And I was in a business where I was interacting with dozens of people each day and every day, and I would work with them for a couple of weeks, and then they would be gone, and it would be a whole new batch of people. And then when I went to the dogs, all the dogs had names. Oh gosh. And I went through a phase where I would recognize a person by seeing their dog. In other words, I had them connected with their dog, and if somebody showed up and they didn't have the dog,
You can't remember.
or if they didn't have that dog, I was completely misunderstood. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was flummoxed. And so, you know, it's like, hey, I give myself some leeway. I'm over 80. What the heck? I can still read cards. You know? And so what if it's a dotty old lady reading your cards, you know? It's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
Or that's how I feel. But, you know, there are, through time, there's more than one tarot reader in the flea market. And you've got several artists. There's you, and then I think there's a couple people further down the road from you that are the guy who does wood, and then he has art.
Oh, Matt, the one who does the cutting boards, Matt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very different art. Very, very different. And he's there every week. He's been really good about coming.
Yeah. And his cutting boards are amazing. And I say to him, how do you get those? And he looks at my stuff. He says, how do you do that? I said, I paint it. I said, how do you do the cutting board? He said, well, I do.
But does he have a job?
He actually, he's known John and Janine, I think, like 50 years. And he always, the way I understand, he was like John and Janine's handyman. He would come over and do stuff like that. But he's a carpenter. I don't know if that's what he did for a living, when he was younger, but I think he's retired now, other than, he hustles. He's still out there doing stuff.
Oh my God, his work is incredible. And for a while he was helping with the management, but then that kind of went by the wayside.
Well, was it last week John and Janine went away? Because Matt actually closed up for them on the day they went away.
Oh, that's
the
nice.
weekend that we were only there the one day.
So, and we've got one more day that's going to close up.
Yeah, and I may not be there that whole weekend. There's a family thing coming up that I think I'm going to maybe go do. So I'll only miss the one day on the weekend because he's going to close the other day anyway, so. Yeah. But, so I've been doing more of my art and,
What do you see yourself doing this winter?
probably art, maybe some of this, eBay, lots of eBay, trying to get that rolling again.
Are you just going to load more things into eBay?
That's what I try to do. Like when the new year hits, I don't know, I get a burst of ambition to do eBay when the new year hits for whatever reason. It seems like every year I do. I try to put like between 5 and 10 new items on a day, and that goes for maybe about a month.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh!
It's like, okay, that's enough. But the beginning of the year, that's like my New Year's resolution. I'm going to try to put 5 new items on a day, right through the whole year. And sometimes it goes a month, sometimes it goes 2 months, and then it kind of just fizzles out. But, it's pretty ambitious the first month or so, month and a half doing that. But,
That's a lot of work.
yeah, but when you've done it so long, you kind of get
But
into a
then
rhythm.
don't you
and
have to
go,
check all the stuff and make sure it's sold?
Oh yeah, you got to take pictures of it and write your description and put it up online and watch who buys it and
Oh,
see
I
if they buy it. I've done that for years.
How long does it stay up?
Well, I have an eBay store, so once it's up, it stays up until I decide to take it down. If I
Oh,
want to.
that's fabulous.
So once I type it in and get the picture and everything off,
So that's a special...
and it automatically, after every 30 days, it relists itself automatically. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because that way, if you list something and then it ages out, it bounces up.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go back and look for it and dig it out of the trash or something.
Yeah. Unless I end the listing, then go back in and for whatever reason, I have done that. It's like this thing's been up however long it's been up. I said I don't think it's going to sell. I'll sometimes pull the listings, but overall I just let the stuff, put it on and let it ride. Yeah. But other than that, I don't know what else I'll do during the winter. We're still in summer, so it's a little too early to start thinking winter.
Well, it's July, August, September, October. It's 3.5 months,
Well, Beacon has a flea market, and they run in through November, sometimes into December, and I've done that Actually, I've done that in the spring. I didn't this year, but I've done that in the spring sometimes before John opens. But the demographics here is a little bit different, too, than John's. Every market has their own unique characteristics, I think, no matter what flea market you go to, they're all a little bit different. But November, I might go back to do Beacon a few weeks. Let's see.
Well, is your booth different?
Yeah, I take different merchandise. I'll probably mix in some of the older stuff there because that sells better than this stuff there, and you don't have quite as much room there as what John gives me in Woodstock, so you got to kind of configure your tables different. It's in the municipal parking lot, so it's on blacktop. So in the summertime, it can get really hot out there because you have no shade at all. At least at John's, you have soft ground and you have some shade trees, but the municipal parking lot in Beacon, there's nowhere to run and hide if you start getting really overheated.
How far is Beacon from Woodstock?
For me, it's closer because I go right across the Newburgh-Beacon Bridge because I'm down in Montgomery. Beacon's about 15, 20 minutes from me, so from Beacon to Woodstock, it's probably about an hour, probably about the same as what it is for me.
Oh, I don't think I could do that.
Some of the John's flea market vendors have done Beacon though. I've seen them down there.
After John closes.
In the spring before John opens, and in the fall after John closes.
Oh, wow. Every year I think I'm going to do that. And I say, where am I going to go over the winter? And I don't have any place. And then I think about, okay, I've got to make an application and nobody accepts my application. And then you drive an hour. And then I have to make a whole bunch of new friends to sit and do tarot with, which is fun. Mm-hmm. That's the fun part. But to drive down there, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I would probably like it in the fall because then I could sit and read cards and chat with people. And do they take pets?
Yeah, it's pet friendly. Which in the summertime I don't think it should be because at Blackcock it's really hot and I've seen dogs walking and doing the lifting of the paw thing.
Oh, that's so sad. Well, the reason I ask is because I have a new. My oldest daughter got a house and then shortly afterwards realized that there were snakes. And she's not real comfortable with snakes. So she finally heard from the Saugerties Animal Shelter they have a dog that likes to play with snakes. And so she's now in the house. So now we have a snaker. And I'm going to be bringing her to the flea this weekend because Jeanette's off in a class.
Is she a big dog, little dog?
Oh, she's 15 pounds.
Oh, okay.
And who knows what she is? I don't know. She's a short-haired dog, but they said that she was part dachshund. She's no more dachshund than I am. The dog just is not.
Yeah.
But she does get excited around snakes, so that's all that matters. And she's a sweet dog, so I hope she doesn't run away at the flea market this weekend. That's all I ask. I just want her still with me when Jeanette comes home from her class on Monday. That's all I want is that we still have a dog.
Yes, because you had an issue this afternoon.
Yes,
I
I
was on the phone
did.
with you.
Yes, I did. And I was hysterical. And I was chasing, and she's the sweetest thing, but oh my God. And of course, Jeanette is working on her book. I'm writing the book about Woodstock, and Jeanette is illustrating it. But now she's going to this workshop. So when you go to a workshop, just like I think you probably have the same experience when you go to these different art centers. It's not really your work anymore. It's what you created there. It was their influence. Does that make sense?
Not really, because we all do our own thing, and we look at each other's art, and but we're not stuck into having to do any particular thing. I mean, when I did this one here, the plein air one, that one took me an hour and a half to do, and I was just throwing the sky in, and I was watching what everybody else was doing. I took a break, walk around, but no, we all do our own thing. And
I'm going to tell Jeanette about the plain art because she does. That's one of her favorite things. And for the longest time after her accident, she was afraid that she would never be able to do that again. And hey, she's coming around.
yeah, thank God.
Things are happening. So what if she can only sit there for 15 minutes? So what? It's happening. So that she might really, really enjoy. But when you illustrate a book, and of course you would be really, really good for that. There's all kinds of math and angles and stuff like that. So she doesn't just paint whatever attracts her, she paints whatever. She has to go according to the guidelines, that the work has.
Yeah, because it has to fit within the text and everything too, probably, right? Because you have
Yes.
text and then you have an image and
Well, what I'm going to do is we know what.
5 minutes.
Oh my goodness, we have 5 minutes. Okay, let me finish this real quickly and then we will do this. We have different chapters. We've got different things that we're going to have in the book, and then I have written them, and Jeanette is going to illustrate them, and then I'm going to rewrite them so that they fit within. And if I have 3 paragraphs and there's room for 5 words, well, hey, we're just going to get it down to 5 words. That's all. That's how it goes. But this has been very, very much fun. I've enjoyed this so much because it's been a very intimate view of the flea market. And I think it's like we pulled back a curtain,
I think a lot of people that come in, they don't realize, the behind the scenes, so
Right.
to say, what goes on and the interactions of the different people. And,
Right.
I mean, some people come in and think we just get there at like 11 o'clock and start setting up the ones that come in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But they don't realize the hours that we actually put in and the time.
Right,
The
and
work, it's
all
all
that goes
work,
into it, and the creativity and the devotion and all of those things. And so the next time we're going to see you, we're going to have Mac.
Okay.
So we're going to do the calendar with Mac.
Yeah.
And I thank you so much, Ellen. This has been a lovely, lovely inside view of the John and Janine Maurer
Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday Flea Market. It's kind of a long title for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan.